got a good one. Look, I got 3 stories about ships that have disappeared. Ghost ships.
Okay, Scooby-Doo.
In 1872, a merchant brig called the Mary Celeste was discovered drifting in the Atlantic. Sails half set, no distress signals, no storm damage, and no one on board. A ghost ship, but one fully intact, clean, and ready to sail. This wasn't folklore. This wasn't a centuries-old legend. This happened in a time when newspapers were everywhere and maritime records were meticulous. The Mary Celeste should have been a perfectly ordinary voyage. Instead, it became the most documented nautical mystery of the 19th century. A century later, investigators noticed something that earlier reports missed. 9 barrels of cargo were leaking, industrial alcohol capable of igniting with a single spark, turning the ship into a floating bomb. The leading theory? The crew may have smelled fumes, heard a small boom, felt heat from a vapor ignition, and panicked. The captain could have ordered everyone into the lifeboat temporarily, just until the danger cleared. The safest move if you think the hull is about to go up in flames. Here's where the story finds trouble. These were experienced sailors. They knew that abandoning a sturdy ship for a lifeboat in the middle of the Atlantic guarantees death. Would seasoned mariners really flee a vessel in perfect condition just because of a smell? It's a crack in the theory. The Mary Celeste remains exactly what it looked like on that December morning. A ghost ship. Not ruined, not wrecked, just empty. The Mary Celeste was the classic ghost ship of the 1800s, but ghost ships can still happen even today, with satellites and AIS tracking every vessel on Earth. In 2018, the MV Alta was making a routine trip across the Atlantic when her engines failed. The crew put out a distress signal, and the US Coast Guard rescued everyone safely. The Alta was now an empty, powerless ship drifting alone in the Atlantic, and that should have been the end of the story. But the ocean had other ideas. After the rescue, the MV Alta began drifting, and her AIS data began acting strangely. Intermittent signals, gaps. Then, the signals stopped completely. No more pings, no course, nothing. Some reports claimed the ship had been sighted by other vessels. Others said it was boarded by opportunistic salvagers, but none could be confirmed. For 18 months, the Alta was simply gone. A modern ghost ship in an ocean covered in satellites. In February 2020, during a brutal Atlantic storm, a massive, empty vessel appeared on the rocks near Ballycotton, Ireland. Locals walked up the cliff and saw a cargo ship battered by the waves, slamming into the coastline. No crew, no lights, no distress call. It was the MV Alta. The ghost ship had returned. Ireland's Coast Guard boarded her and found no one, and no clear evidence of what happened during those 18 months. No logs, no personal effects, just an empty steel shell. The Alta was too damaged and dangerous to salvage, so she was dismantled where she rested. Her journey remains one of the strangest modern maritime mysteries, a ship abandoned in the open ocean that somehow survived storms, currents, and a year and a half of wandering before crashing into the Irish coast. Ghost ships aren't ancient legends. Some of them are very real, and sometimes they come back. Why do ghost ships still happen? Why do we still lose vessels in an age when every ship broadcasts its name, position, and course to satellites orbiting the Earth? Because the truth is this: the ocean doesn't care about our technology. AIS, radar, satellite imaging, weather forecasting, all of it is powerful, but none of it is perfect. The Alta is a ghost ship that came back. The Namse Bangzad is one that never did. A modern tanker, an experienced crew, navigation computers, AIS tracking, busy shipping lanes, and still, in 2018, the Namse Bangzad simply vanished. No mayday, no debris, No confirmed wreck, just gone. On December 27, 2018, the Namse Bangzad, a near 2,000-ton Indonesian tanker, left the port of Sampit carrying nearly 1 million liters of crude palm oil. It was headed west for Jakarta, a run so routine that captains joke they can do it half asleep. The ship departed, cleared port, entered the Java Sea. Everything looked normal. The kind of routine trip thousands of vessels make every week. The next morning, on December 28th, contact with the ship flickered out. Not a panic call, not a damage report, just silence. And the AIS, the automatic identification system, went dark. Normally, losing the AIS doesn't mean disaster. Ship antenna fail, signals drop, crews forget to reset systems, but this time the silence deepened. No follow-up pings, no radar. For a tanker of that size, that should be impossible. Indonesian authorities launched an intensive search. Naval vessels, aircraft, coastal patrols, port sweeps. Nothing still. And the region isn't the open Pacific, it's the Java Sea, one of the busiest and most monitored waters on the Earth. The most compelling lead was a strange partial AIS reappearance, a blip hours after the ship had gone missing, but analysts later concluded it was likely a data error or a ghost ping from another vessel using a similar profile. In other words, it wasn't the Namse Bangzad. So, what happened? Mechanical failure? Possible, but a breakdown alone doesn't erase the ship's size. Weather? Conditions were moderate, not enough to sink a tanker without leaving a trace. Piracy? The cargo was valuable, but no ransom, no signal, and no later appearance under a new name. Insurance? Smuggling? Conceivable, but someone would have seen the ship scrapped or repaired. Every explanation hits a wall, and that's why the Namse Bangzad stands out. In the AIS era, with satellites scanning the globe and ships broadcasting their positions constantly, a commercial tanker should not be able to disappear. But this one did. No wreck, no survivors, no confirmed sightings since December 2018. It's still unaccounted for today. AIS is just radio, VHF signals that travel in straight lines and fade over a distance. A ship's transmitter can burn out, a storm can knock it loose, a power outage can kill it for good. And Class B transponders, the ones used by smaller ships and yachts, are much weaker. Satellites miss them all the time. Even large tankers like the Namse Bangzad can slip behind a weather cell or under a radar horizon into a blind spot nobody realized was there. People imagine constant global coverage, but the sea is full of dead zone. Then there's the human factor. Captains make split-second decisions. Equipment fails at the worst possible moment, and sometimes no one is left alive to explain what happened. That's how you get a Mary Celeste, a ship found intact, but with all people erased. That's how an empty vessel like the Alta can wander the Atlantic for 18 months. And that's how a modern tanker like the Namse Bangzad can vanish in 2018 and still be missing today, somewhere between the currents. For all our satellites and all our sensors and digital name tags, the ocean remains bigger, darker, and older than us. It hides things, it erases things, it keeps secrets. Ghost ships aren't stories from the past, they're reminders that the sea has edges we don't see, and doors that close behind ships that enter them. And every so often, one of those ships comes back, and sometimes it doesn't.
Alright, so ghost ships, real or no? Scooby-Doo stuff?
I think based off the video, probably real.
Probably real.
Probably
right?
real.
I think that's really weird, right? Like in our time period, that there are still ships that go missing, right?
What I was surprised by too is that it doesn't like the ones that one that was missing for 18 months didn't sink at any point.
Right? Like, how
Like
was
you
it?
think being not manned at some point would encounter something that would cause it to sink.
That's what I think is one of the weirder things about it. Like, how does this thing just go floating along for that long without anybody steering it or putting it in the right direction? It just goes on for 18 months doing nothing. You're talking about the Alta, right? Like the Alta that goes and crashes into the Irish coastline. Yeah, that story to me is extremely strange because people go looking for it, can't find it, try to ping it multiple times, and then it just winds up getting smashed up on a coastline, and eventually, I think it's not even really there anymore. I think it's been salvaged. Eventually, if you notice in those pictures
Yeah,
I
I
showed
said the
you,
video was salvaged, but I even wrote a note. The Alta had graffiti on it. Do you remember what the graffiti said?
Azul,
Yes, it did.
blue, right?
Yeah.
Like it was a blue ship with like Azul
Yeah,
written
that
on the
was
side
really
of it.
cool.
Mhm.
That was cool.
Yeah, but like it was slowly being taken apart, and I think that was like a salvage company that was doing that part. So, I'm not even sure if that one's there anymore. But the Mary Celeste,
yeah.
what happened to those people? You think the alcohol theory makes any sense?
Yeah, I think it does. I think that's the most probable.
Yeah.
Like, I can definitely see that. Especially, like, how we were saying, the article said he had his wife and kids on the boat with him, right?
Yeah.
So,
There was a
I
lot
could
of
see
there's a mixed
making-
passenger sat there.
I could see being like, oh, we'll just be sure. But see, the thing that always is weird to me with that is, like, you think one of the dead bodies would wash ashore somewhere.
Right? They don't find any trace of the lifeboat.
Yeah, I thought that about the Alta, too.
They don't find anything. Like, where did these people go? The Mary Celeste is really bizarre because it's like, okay, so these sailors would leave a boat in mid-voyage, really like in the middle of a shipping area that's pretty empty. It's like you're definitely gonna die. I mean, the idea of leaving a perfectly good ship with all those rations just because of some alcohol barrels.
I don't
Like,
think
what-
it's just because of, though. Like, if there was something in our house that could cause it to blow up, I think we'd get the heck out of the house.
No, I'd throw it overboard.
No, it leaked.
Yeah, but I would toss those barrels overboard.
It leaked.
Yeah, so I'd get the barrels overboard and then keep the rest of the provisions. So,
You
like,
said a ticking time bomb. You don't know.
they are a ticking time bomb, and so that's the major hole I have though in the theory. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, there's all kinds of weird theories out there, like
I think that would make sense, though. Like, to me personally, I do. But I don't know where the people went.
right. That's the one that's like odd. Like there's all kinds of like really crackpot theories about that one. That like people being abducted, all kinds of weird stuff. But I think it's more than likely those people somehow got off this ship because they thought it was dangerous.
The Namse
Bangzod.
Bangzod one,
Uh-huh.
though, that one, I thought those articles were weird because it said that there's no piracy reported on those waters,
Mm-hmm.
and then they kept bringing up a couple times that they think it was piracy.
I don't understand that
Yeah,
either.
it's weird. And then I also thought it's palm oil. Like, you guys would be so disappointed. Like, what are you going to do with it? Like,
Right, it's
you're
not-
going to go through all these people on the boat to be like, crap, it's palm oil. Like,
Yeah, and then like they should have had you could see the object was already on AIS tracking. So like they should have even probably had the shipping
you know
and
what that
stuff.
sucker probably saying?
Piracy doesn't really make a lot of sense because it hasn't shown up yet, and this has
Yeah.
been since 2018.
Yeah, that's what I think too with that one. I don't feel like piracy makes sense. I feel like, I don't know though, because the Alta was missing for like 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
Could show up. There's nothing to
I mean,
say.
now you're hitting like 6 though with the
Yeah,
Alta.
but there's nothing to say that it couldn't just smash into something one day. Like
Yeah.
it could just show up one day out of the middle of nowhere and just run aground and hit another ship. I think it's more likely it's already sunk.
Yeah, it seems like those waters are so monitored. I can't imagine it at any point not like it's either there or it's not.
Like we saw with the Alta, or like we saw with the Mary Celeste, there's a lot of times where a ship really will wind up missing for a long time, and they find the crew is completely abandoned it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, our ghost ships.
I don't know what happens to the crew. Is it like dead? Like, what happened?
That's the question.
Because at that point, you're like, you should have stayed on the friggin' boat because we're finding the boat and not you.
Right, and you
So
know.
how was your call so poor that you left the boat and the boat's fine?
That's always the confusing part, right? Because you're like, most of these boats even have provisions on them.
Tanker.
Mm-hmm.
The tankers look like they shouldn't even be floating though. So.
Yeah, right.
Like,
They're
those
huge.
suckers were like giant on one side and then like pretty giant on the other, but not as giant as the other side. Like the other side had like.
The container ships, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like, how the heck? It's amazing that we figured that out.
Those container ships are wild, aren't they? To think of any of them sinking. You notice I brought that up.
Oh no, I didn't.
Yeah, I said insurance, maybe.
Oh.
Right? Because I'm like, the only...
I didn't even hear that. I literally thought that.
Yeah, no, I said it in the video because I'm like, the only thing I can think of is like, what if like you could claim like, okay, this ship
Would you
is...
kill an entire crew over that?
No, I'm wondering if like the... Right, the question... yeah, that's why I don't have... You're right. Like, that's why I always fall
Or
into
do you
trouble.
just have these fake...
Like fake people on the
Yeah.
manifest? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to say. But it's a lot of work for insurance if that's what your goal is. So...
I mean, that little dude on the Namse...
He did... Yeah.
He was pretty cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a sad
Can you imagine
picture.
a whole boat of them?
There was a whole boat of those folks that probably just went
It's
disappearing.
really sad.
Yeah. I think the Namse Bangzad is like at least it was like 20 some people.
That's not as many as I thought.
Yeah, no, it's like a 20, 30 some person crew.
I was more than that. I imagined like 100 of those tiny little guys.
No, but it's still like, 20, 30 of them.
I'm disappointed. I thought there was more.